Okay, everybody, good morning. What is going on? Hope you guys are doing well on this Tuesday. And I thought I'd just go ahead and jump right on this to start the day because I made a video last night talking a little bit about safety stuff. May as well kind of wrap that conversation up because now would be the time to have that conversation because we do have some issues in our secondary, mostly at the safety position, and we may as well bring it all the way home. So, yeah, the Seahawks are beat up in the secondary right now. Particularly, they're beat up at the safety position. And there's a little bit we don't know about that right now, admittedly, but we do know we're missing some guys that we would like to have out there. So let's take a look at some safety stuff here. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So just to recap what we went over yesterday, the Seahawks have 3 safeties, or at least partial safeties, injured right now. Nick Eamon, who might not really be a safety for this team right now, questionable. He's working his way back. He'll be back soon, but maybe he's not ready for week 1. We don't know. Rodney Thomas is got a fractured bone in his hand or something that he's working through. Probably going to be fine. I think he's got a decent chance to be ready for week 1, but who knows? Again, that's another one where we just have to kind of go by the seat of our pants. And then, of course, Bud Clark, who's going to be out for a while. So those are 3 either partial safeties or full-on safeties that are unavailable at the moment. And you've got some other stuff going on as well in the secondary, like Julian Neal, Shamar Jean-Charles, but Jean-Charles was never going to make the team anyway. Of course, Terry and Arnold's situation. But the focus really right now is on safety. And the first question is, do the Seahawks need to sign a safety from free agency because of these injuries? I think the answer is no. Because even if a player like an Eamon misses a game, it's probably going to be just 1 game because it's pretty clear that the timeline for him to return is pretty close to week 1 based on everything we're hearing. So unless we're wrong and he's actually going to miss extended time, which I don't think is the case, I don't really think you got to think about him that much. And at the end of the day, Bud Clark and Rodney Thomas were both going to be backups. Rodney Thomas may have not even made the team. We still have both of our intended starters to start the season in Okada and Love. And we also have D'Anthony Bell, who has been pretty good so far this preseason, and I think is a viable backup safety. And I don't know how much value a guy like a Rodney Thomas would be adding over somebody like an AJ Finley or a Maxon Hook. And even Bud Clark. I'm high on Bud Clark. I do like Bud Clark quite a bit. I think he's going to be a good player for this team. But for me, I don't know about him as a rookie. I think that he could have been a good player as a rookie because he played so much in college, but is there going to be some massive drop-off between Bud Clark and D'Anthony Bell as a backup safety? I don't think it's going to be massive. And is there a drop-off at all between Rodney Thomas and AJ Finley and Maxon Hook? Remember, AJ Finley and Maxon Hook have been here. Rodney Thomas just got here this last offseason. Same with D'Anthony Bell. He was here last year too. They have some familiarity with the defense. So if you were to ask me, does the Seattle Seahawks team need to bring in a safety because of these injuries? I feel like the answer is no. If we start the season with Finley or Hook as your number 4 safety, I feel like that's probably fine, and we can live with that for at least a little bit. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. However, while we're here, what are some options? Because just because these are the guys we have right now doesn't mean these are the guys we'll have later, right? Like, what if somebody else gets hurt? There's definitely a situation where you'd want to bring in somebody. Now, who could that somebody be? That's always a little bit complicated, I think, for a question like safety, because you can dig pretty deep here. Because at any given time, the league is going to be full of former cornerbacks who are willing and capable of moving to safety at the end of their career. We see that fairly frequently. Players that just lose their speed but still have their brains move from corner to safety because that's an area they can still positively impact the game while not being hurt as badly by the fact that they're not as fast or quick as they used to be. So you can always tap that well, but let's keep the conversation to just guys that we know are safety and want to play it for the moment. If you go to Spotrac, they've got a pretty short list of options here. And I think it's pretty clear who the guy would be. It would be Donovan Wilson. If you're going to sign somebody from this list, it's almost definitely going to be Donovan Wilson, formerly of the Cowboys. So, number one, you've got a connection there because Aiden Dirty was the coach for part of Donovan Wilson's career. He also has familiarity playing with guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Dante Fowler. So they can probably do a little bit of work in recruiting these guys. And you already had Donovan Wilson in for a visit earlier this offseason. You didn't sign him, but you did at least kick the tires on him. He's also not even 30 years old yet. He's only 29. He's going to turn 30 next offseason. So Donovan Wilson is pretty clearly the guy that you're looking at here if you want to bring in another safety. He's had a pretty decent career. He is one of the best, or has been one of the best blitzing safeties in football. He's had some pretty high-profile years for the Cowboys. He's had years where he's had over 100 tackles, years with over 3 sacks. Never a superstar or anything like that, never an elite player, but always a useful and capable player that brought a lot of things to the table. And the last couple years, he has been playing on one of the worst defenses in football. And he may have been part of that, but he can't be the only part of that, right? There's a lot of reasons why the Cowboys were atrocious defensively these last 2 seasons. And Donovan Wilson, I think, would be pretty far down that list. So he might have something left, and people just don't really know about it because he's been stuck on such a terrible defense the last 2 seasons. You look at Pro Football Focus, they're not a big fan of his 2025, but again, there was a lot going on that defense beyond just him. Matt Eberflus did not mesh well with the players they had. Year before that, he actually fared fairly well. 2023, respectable. 2022 was quite good. And again, he's not that old yet. We're talking about a player that is not even, well, let me see here. I'm getting different. Okay, he is actually older than Spotrac has. I don't know why Spotrac is so off here, so that's my bad. I guess he's actually a little bit older than I thought, but he's still not old, right? At 31, going to turn 32 in February. That's perfectly manageable, and it's a lot better than a lot of the other players you see listed here. So my bad on the age thing, but even at 32, it's not a huge difference. It's still something that I think you can easily work with. And again, you're not going to be signing anybody to come in and start right now, right? If you're going to sign somebody, you're probably looking for a number 3 or a number 4 safety alongside D'Anthony Bell. That guy would not be expected to play a lot unless somebody else got hurt. And with the injuries we've already had, I think it's reasonable for us to hope that we don't have to deal with more of that. Now, the other guys listed here, you've got Jimmy Ward, who's a lot older. I think he's probably pretty much retired at this point, 35. Harrison Smith is even older than that. I thought he retired, but even if he hasn't, he pretty much has. Terrell Edmonds, kind of more of a linebacker right now, and he hasn't really played in a couple years. George Odom has never really been more than a special teamer, even in his prime. Jabril Peppers barely played last year. Not a lot there, so there's really not a lot to say about anybody else on this list in my mind. Everyone else is either too old, not that good in the first place, or both. So I think Donovan Wilson's the play, if you're going to do anything. But I tend to believe that you are probably going to be okay giving Finley or Hook the number 4 safety role, even if these guys are noticeably hurt. And the reason why I say that is because Finley and Hook have familiarity with this defense, and anybody you bring in will not really have that. Maybe Donovan Wilson just because of the Aiden Dirty stuff that I talked about earlier, but he doesn't have experience playing with Mike McDonald, right? Harrison Smith has never played with Mike McDonald. Jabril Peppers has never played with Mike McDonald. So, whatever. It just kind of feels like, why not just rock with the safeties you've been rocking with in camp, who, by the way, not bad stuff there. AJ Finley, he had the pick in the mock game, and the team clearly likes him. Max and Hook, been talked up a little bit. There could be something there, and at least there's upside, right? You look at a list like this, you might find a good player or two, but there's a lot of downside here, right? There's nothing but downside with Harrison Smith or even Donovan Wilson or Jimmy Ward because they're so old. Hook and Finley are young. All right, let me know what you guys think. I don't think there should be much to be done here. I think we're okay, but it is getting tenuous. And if there's another injury, you probably will have to bring in a guy like a Donovan Wilson because at that point, things will be too thin. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a great rest of your day. More videos coming soon. But not really feeling the need to bring in another safety at this point in time.